Hello again and welcome to another episode of I Want to Talk About This Album. And today I'm going to talk about, for the first time I should add, I'm going to talk about Styx. I didn't think that I ever talk about Styx in this series, but here I am. And if you know anything, if you've been following along when I talk about a band for the first time, I go into my history with them. So I'm going to do that with Styx first, before I get to the album and the track by track. And you know what about this album? Place your bets now what I think about this album. Today was, well, I guess yesterday and then again today was the first time that I'd ever heard this album. And if you want to know what I think about it, about the album, place your bets right now. Do I love it? Do I hate it? Am I kind of, what do I think about Styx? Cornerstone, by the way, is what it is. Get your bets in now because I'm about to start. So Styx, I don't have much of a history with them. This is the only Styx album that I've ever bought, with one exception. I'll talk about this maybe a little bit too. This is the Greatest Hits album, it's called Greatest Hits. Now I remember Styx. They were one of the first rock bands that I ever really was into. When I lived in Montreal in the 70s when I was into Kiss, starting in 1976. And Styx was one of the bands that I remember that I listened to in Montreal this must have been probably 77, 78, maybe even as late as 79, which was when I later moved to Toronto. And because I remember there was something specifically, you have these weird, stupid memories that you have no reason remembering them. And I remember the gym teacher, I think his name was Mr. Bulow. I remember at some point during in the gymnasium, we're all chanting, "We want Styx, we want Styx." And Mr. Bulow didn't like that, and he wasn't going to play Styx. I have no idea what that story was, and I know I did a terrible job of explaining it, and it doesn't matter. But I remember Styx, in the 70s. But as I said, I never bought one of their records. I did later, I think maybe in the early 80s, had a couple of singles. I know for sure I had Renegade. I probably had, I think I had quite a few. I maybe had Mr. Roboto, and possibly Fooling Yourself, and maybe Babe, which is on this album. I'm not sure. I had a couple of them anyway. And that was all. They were for me, and I guess still a radio band. I don't know any Styx songs other than whatever was played on the radio. Well, except after, listening to this album, I know a few more. So that's really all my history with Styx. I never saw them live. And they're actually pretty good. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know what your bet was for this album. I like it a lot. I would even say I would choose this over some of the more, this is maybe blasphemous to some people, especially if you know me. I think I would choose Cornerstone by Styx over some of the more recent Motorhead albums that I've talked about. I like it better than, I don't know, what have I talked about? The World Is Yours and Motorizer, Inferno. I think I would take Styx over Motorhead. Shame. Next thing you know, I'm going to be getting Dennis DeYoung's pretty face tattooed on my arm or something. So that's I'm getting off track here. I like this album. As I go through the track by track, you'll see something that I realized when I was listening to this today, and maybe I'm very, very late to the party. Aren't there a lot of real similarities between Styx and Queen? And Queen is another band that I've never bought anything by Queen. I bought their Greatest Hits 2 years ago, whenever that came out in the 90s. And like Styx, although I would say I like Styx way more than Queen, I don't think I ever bought any Queen singles. A lot of similarities, no? They're both kind of big rock bands, maybe some elements of pop. They have some kind of grand songs. They have, big vocals, and I think some, I don't know, maybe some other similarities. Am I way off base? If you're a big Queen fan or a big Styx fan, tell me that I'm wrong, or maybe tell me that I'm right. And another memory I have of Styx was I had some family friends. This was probably in 1980, 81. The Hatches. It was my friend Jimmy Hatch, Lori, and Lisa, and their parents were good friends with my parents before I was born. They were friends, and we used to go to their house sometimes. And we always listened to both to Styx and Queen. I remember listening to The Game, that Queen album called The Game. Now I'm talking about Queen. So that's what I think about Styx overall. Not too much to say about them. And I know now Lawrence Gowan has been the singer for Styx for quite some time. And I hate Gowan, oh my God, as a Canadian, especially a Canadian metalhead in the 80s, Gowan, now he's Lawrence or Larry Gowan, but then he was just Gowan. A Criminal Mind was just the worst crap you can imagine. And it was on the radio all the time. Hated Gowan, but loved Styx. So getting to the actual record, I got this record at El Chopo, and it's you can see, at least by the cover, it's pretty beat up. It's got a lot of wear on it. The back, I think, is even worse. And it does have the song titles in Spanish, which I always like, and I'll read those. So the first one, Lights, which is Luces, duh. Next is Why Me, Porque Yo. Next is Babe, Nena, that's kind of funny. Never Say Never, Nunca Digas Nunca. Boat on the River is Bote en el Rio. Bote should be Bote or Barco. I'm not sure what the difference is between Bote and Barco. If you're a Spanish speaker, please tell me what the difference is. On the other side, Borrowed Time is Tiempo Prestado. First Time is La Primera Vez. Some of these are pretty obvious. Eddie is Eddie. And Love in the Midnight, the last song is Amor a la Medianoche. So pretty good there. And something else I think I've always noticed about Styx, but it was very obvious when I was listening to this record today. And I listened to it digitally. I didn't listen to the actual record yet. Dennis DeYoung has, and I think Styx doesn't really have a lot of credibility amongst rock fans. I think they're kind of seen as a kind of a wimpy, soft pop rock band, which they kind of are, but they have some hard rock elements too, especially on maybe at least one of these songs, maybe two, I can't remember. I'll check when I get to the track by track. But I think they're pretty good. Maybe some people consider Styx to be a guilty pleasure, but Dennis DeYoung's voice, man, he's a great singer, and he uses a lot of, this was my point, a lot of vibrato, and very obvious. I think Dennis DeYoung has a great voice, and Tommy Shaw obviously sings a lot of songs too, and that's something else. I keep thinking of more songs about this album. When I listen to the first two songs of this, I don't know who sings I know that Dennis DeYoung sings Babe and Tommy Shaw sings Renegade, but these other ones, the only song I knew from this album was Babe, Nena, which I didn't know any of them else, any of the other ones. So when I was listening to it today, or the other day for the first time, after the second song, I realized, oh yeah, it's Dennis DeYoung and Tommy Shaw. They kind of like Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons, or Paul McCartney and John Lennon. And I tried to kind of predict when the next song came on, which I'd never heard before. Okay, is this going to be a Tommy Shaw song or a Dennis DeYoung song? I don't know who sang them. I don't know who wrote them. And I predicted every single one except one of them, which you may know what that is. And I just thought, I think the Dennis DeYoung songs are more, much more keyboard, which I actually like. I sometimes really hate keyboards, but for some reason they really suit Styx's sound. And I think Tommy Shaw songs are a little bit more guitar driven, which makes sense because Dennis DeYoung plays keyboards and Tommy Shaw plays guitars, or plays guitar. So that's it. So going to the track by track now. Oh, and I need notes, of course, since I wasn't familiar with this record. So the first song is Luces, or Lights. This is a Tommy Shaw song. Now when this first came on, it's got these really bright, I guess is the best way to explain the keyboard sound, this really bright keyboard intro, and which to me indicated that this is going to be a Dennis DeYoung song or a Dennis DeYoung vocal. And then after that kind of really bright keyboard intro, it switched to some acoustic guitar, and then it's Tommy Shaw singing. This I thought had a very the classic, and there were a few songs like this on here. Yeah, that reminds me. Let me get to the greatest hits album here. This is an awesome album, and this is the only thing I've been familiar with. I really should do a whole episode about this because this is amazing. Every song is incredible. Lady, there was the 95 version. The Best of Times, Lorelei. When I think of Lorelei, my head turns all around. As gentle as a butterfly, she moves without a sound. I love Lorelei. Too Much Time on My Hands, Babe, which is the only song from Cornerstone on here. Fooling Yourself, The Angry Young Man, parentheses, The Angry Young Man. Show Me the Way, Renegade, Come Sail Away, Blue Collar Man, Grand Illusion, Crystal Ball, Sweet Madam Blue, Miss America, Mr. Roboto, and Don't Let It End. It's missing, it's missing, is it maybe my favorite Styx song? Is it missing it? The Best of Times. Yeah, it's not on here. Why isn't The Best of Times on here? Oof, what an oversight. Anyway, I don't know why I went to that. So getting back to this, so I am familiar enough with Styx, with all these songs. I love these big choruses that Styx have. And this had, and there are a couple of other songs too, maybe more than a couple, that have this, the kind of the backing vocals, the whole band, I guess, is singing. I think they all sang, I'm not sure. To me, this is a classic Styx song, and I love Lights, Lucis. And also this one lyrically, because when I listened to it on my phone, I was watching the lyrics or looking at the lyrics, and lyrically and musically, this reminded me a little bit of Fooling Yourself, The Angry Young Man. Why must you be such an angry young man when your future looks quite bright to me? Next is Why Me? This is a Dennis DeYoung song. Again, this starts with really these bright keyboards. This has some kind of an interesting note, I thought here. There's this, I guess it sounds to me like a saxophone and guitar. They're playing a solo, but they're both playing the same solo at the same time, which, that caught my attention. Again, it's got the classic backing vocals, I think, of the whole band. Just to me, another classic Styx song. I love this song. The first two songs are amazing, and I just heard them for the first time. Next is Babe. Babe, I'm leaving. I must be on my way. The time is drawing near. My train is going. I see it in your eyes, the love, the need, your fears. And I'll be lonely without you, and I'll need your love to see me through. So please believe me, my heart is in your hand, and I'll be missing you. And then it's this big, huge, this is a power ballad. People talk about, extreme more than words, or Saigon Kick, Love is on the Way. Those aren't power ballads. Those are ballads. This is a power ballad and one of the greatest ever. This is, I love this song when I was a kid, and I love it now, because it's you, babe. Whenever I get weary and I've had enough, feel like giving up, it's you, babe. Can't get enough of this song. Amazing song. And I'm sure a lot of people hate it. It is very sappy, but I don't care. I think Babe is excellent. Next is Never Say Never, Nunca Digas Nunca. This is Tommy Shaw singing this. This one opens with those big Styx, not gang vocals, but the whole band singing. With the chorus opens the song. And a catchy song, another really good one. I really like all four of these songs are very good so far. Next is Boat on the River, Bote en el Rio. This is a Tommy Shaw song. This was very different from what I know about Styx, which, as I said, is really just the greatest hits album. This was and maybe because it's a Tommy Shaw, I guess they sang the songs that they wrote. So I guess Tommy Shaw wrote the song. It's got a mandolin intro, which I like, and then there's I think later there's also a mandolin solo. There's some little bit of accordion in here. Less poppy. This is maybe my favorite song. It's hard to beat Babe, but Babe is separate because I've known it, and it's hard to say that a song that I've just heard twice and only in recent days that I like better than Babe, which I've heard for 45 years or I don't know how long. But Bote en el Rio, Boat on the River is an amazing song, possibly my favorite. The one that I'm going to probably listen to the most. Next, this would be on side 2, Borrowed Time. This is a Dennis DeYoung song, and hey, guess what? It's got the bright keyboard intro. Then it gets a little bit more into a hard rock song, and it's got again the great Styx. Maybe Styx was very formulaic, but it's got the great Styx vocals. I like that song too. Next is First Time, Dennis DeYoung song. This is the first one that I didn't. It's okay, but I didn't. All the other ones I love, but First Time. Again, it's got the bright keyboards, and it's ballady, not as good as Babe, and it's okay. Next is Eddie, and now when I heard this one, and as I said, I was predicting these correctly as I went along. When I heard Eddie, I thought, okay, this sounds like it's going to be a Tommy Shaw song, and then the vocals came in, and it wasn't Tommy Shaw, and it wasn't Dennis DeYoung. And I guess, now I do remember there's a guy in Styx. I remember their names. There's a Palazzo or Palozzo or Panozzo or something like that. Two guys. I think they're the drummer and the bassist, Chuck, and I can't remember the other guy's name. And then I remember there's another guy, the fifth guy that had the long blonde hair. Is JT or JC? The fuck is his name? JD Vance, is that his name? JYD, Junkyard Dog, whatever his name is. I guess it's him singing, because I had forgotten that he does sing a couple of songs. But yeah, so this is, and I guess he wrote the song too, this guy. Junkyard Dog Vance, James Taylor, can't remember his name. But it's called Eddie. This is more of a real hard rock song, probably the for sure the most hard rock song on the album. And it sounds like, musically, especially in the first, the intro and in through the first verse, I guess. To me, it really, really sounds like Rush. The verses, I think, sound like Rush. I guess it's the choruses. They sound more like what you would expect from Styx. The vocals here, at least at a couple points, really, really remind me of Bruce Dickinson, specifically in the No Prayer for the Dying era. That when Bruce had kind of a raspier, kind of more aggressive voice. This also had a weird, I don't know if the solo, there was a guitar solo, but I think there was also, there's also another solo that it sounded either like a synthesizer or a guitar playing at the same time, similar to the saxophone and the guitar in Why Me, or maybe it was just one, a guitar or synthesizer, but it sounded like there were two instruments there. This had also, again, the classic Styx choruses. I don't know who Eddie is, by the way. I have no idea who he is. I know Red Hot Chili Peppers have a song called Eddie. It was about Eddie Van Halen, and I don't know. I don't think it's about Eddie Van Halen. It's not about Eddie Trunk. I don't think it's about Eddie Vedder. It's about somebody else named Eddie. Maybe it's one of JYD Vance's friends. But and I listened to the lyrics, and it said, Don't run away, or don't run, something like that. No idea. Couldn't figure it out from the lyrics. Yeah, I like this song. This is a good song too, and it had a weird ending. It faded out, and then it kind of came back in, and then it ended very abruptly. When I listened to it, when I was listening to it on my phone the other day for the first time, I thought maybe I had downloaded a bad copy of it or something. I got cut off, but it turns out that it does have just a weird, very abrupt ending. Sounds like a mistake. And then the last song is called Love in the Midnight, Amor en el Medianoche. This is Tommy Shaw singing this one. This is, let me read my notes here. It's got an acoustic guitar, and then through the first verse, acoustic intro through the first verse. Then it gets a little bit, as Paul Stanley says, now it gets rough, a little bit harder. This again, like I think almost every song has the group vocals where everybody's singing, which I really like. And then there's just a really wailing synthesizer solo and a guitar solo, and that was it. And that's a good song too. So I like at every song on this. The ballad. What was the ballad called? Why Me? First Time. Yeah, First Time was not so great, but all the other songs are very good to great, especially Babe and Bote en el Rio, Boat on the River. Yeah. So there it is, my introduction to Styx. I feel like I should listen to more Styx, but it's hard. I'm 54 years old, and I've been listening to music pretty much my whole life, and I didn't show this too. It's got a gatefold there. Look at that. Pretty cool. Oh, and I didn't mention, I think I mentioned that I got it at El Chopo, but I got it, the guy's name is James Young. Yeah, JY. They have the JY in parentheses. James Young, JY. I got this at El Chopo. This was 100 pesos, which I guess is around, these days, maybe that's around $6, something like that. And which for El Chopo is very cheap. I know you can probably get a record like this in the dollar bin at any record store in the US or Canada, but in Mexico things are different, and they're unrealistic about how much their records should cost. But anyway, as I was saying, I feel like I want to get into Styx, like I'm missing a lot, but you can only listen to so much music. You can't, it's like movies or books or anything. You can't have everything. But I do, and after I listened to this the other day, I went and I listened to most of the songs on the greatest hits. I really like Styx a lot. I feel like I should have been into them more than I was. Yeah, but anyway, I'm going to listen to this more. And this is Styx, and it's Cornerstone.